Hello, I'm Ain. I'm going to present on my research design project. So continue the process with mapping the overall idea, I guess the whole process of my design development, and to study the participation of the architecture conversations. These are three hierarchy of concepts, and this relationship diagram is the easiest flow to deliver my work. Essentially to draw the line of underlying balance, delicate balance of the implementation of human environment into the idea of built environment, understanding genus loci of the site particularly. The first, the first concept is spatial social. By engaging locals' implicit memories with imitations of social pattern language from different scales, macro scales that influenced by the hierarchy of access and functions of the building, whereby micro scale influenced by the ages of the locals and activities. These particular patterns actually to invite them to have direct or indirect engagement, some sort of having their own way in dictating spaces in the site, that leading to the successful projects program. Anything structure of program must be treated as landscape and of course playscape manner. The second concept is spatial structure. It's not going to be high-end products because of this is going to be locally sourced labor and materials, but structural characters would be the main episode of treating the idea of architecture in local context. I'm proposing on how play actually is the analogy of the alienation of human essence, theory of expressions on how our perception of the material world is conditioned by the society, and even worse, how we lack of understanding and appreciate and value for all life that transcends any objective use of nature for humanity's purposes. Of course, the first intention was to serve the kids with the environment that they deserve. I've been explaining on how the local definition of new, of the community development, and this abstract nature sabotaging us not just ecologically but socially too. In fact, breaching the definition of developing. My opinion on how architecture is seen as social reification of contentment, insisting to the interpretation of the development of society, on how human consciousness is conditioned in dialectical interplay between subject and object, in which man actively shapes the world he lives in, at the same time as it shapes him. Inspired by the theory of historical materialism by sociologist philosopher Marx, very rich and it is very important to the architecture study. These are the mapping explaining the structure of the suburban and city of Terengganu. Historically, they grow on the most stable of flat terrain, only certain of few located around the mountains, or on softer land since about quarter used to be paddy field, respectively allowed by the topography. So, this place structure project is an innocuous development and sincere proposal of using the site as the point of fleeting correction and also suggestion. This structural concept is one of the cultural references, for example using the vernacular architecture element 12 or 9 posts that indicates the usage of the area and pure geometry shape of rectangular for the practicality. Used in designing one of the functional space, which is reading park or library. So basically I've been experimenting on using local construction method and make it easier to build as if I'm gonna build it myself. You next give a little bit attention to detail profile to highlight the type of material usage that submit to demand of the local climate as well. Using the existing arrangement profile for the playhouse proposal, this is to tell that perfect level comfort could be achieved by the scattered arrangement to allow winds flow through each of the house. Using the minimum materials in controlling the surface and spaces. Third one is the spatial landscape. Fundamental of this concept is to reciprocate and restoring of what's taken, even though only small part of it, while insisting the importance of genus loci. This is what currently happened here, as this area used to be paddy field. Now the owners of the land being offered to sell them to the private developer because the land here is pretty cheap, so they could give quite an interesting offer. In order to use the land, they need to be stable enough for any development. So these past 2 years, this is what happened around the site. 52.34-acre land has been filled in. And this year alone, plus minus over 600 acres in total, around 15-kilometer radius from the site. Incipient of public space introduced into rural context. So this is steps of the idea in giving back. Starting with dig up around 5 acres at the end of the site boundary, adding new vegetation on the left side of the site, and then on the right side. This method also to discuss on legibility of my product, theory on how walking through or passing by take place while existing nature manipulate the behavior of the users, and define the meaning of our safety, feeling, and our pacing. This is simply achieving practicality to achieve comfort, then achieving sense of ownership. Using the plant with 6 to 7 meters high, like bamboo tree, to control circulation, and a taller tree with less dense leaf, like cotton tree, to provide immediate boundary to any spaces. I've agreed and understand the statement from Dr. David Eagleman, author of Incognito, because it is almost the same to the gravity of this chronology that putting us in the fixity of a pensive gaze, and this sincere proposal is the bubbles will provide suggestion, that critical clues. For example, suggestion on how to use material transparency to achieve favorable lighting intensity without neglecting privacy incorporate with the surrounding context. Suggestion to take only what's needed, awareness to use minimal material on the Earth's surface. Although this sounds rhetorical sometimes, with the study and understanding, I would love to be poetic and original in the making and able to prove all the theories with simple and elegant lines. From the previous study, the area that's spent by children of this area are in these two yellow circles, the area of the first generation housing. So in my project, the design of the functional area impels on defensible space, using the landscape as buffer from the main road, while having direct engagement from formal area with maximum vision to feel safe. Improving social capital using local culture for the project's program or functions, like the idea of cafe, using the service of food bike like serving food in the manner almost forever in this village. And since there is no proper rubbish collection in this area, but only a person with motorbike to collect recycled items from house to house. Proposal on a recycling collection collection point will provide better awareness of on managing rubbish. That is all from me. Thank you.